Now I got a question shot to me here. I got a question shot to me here in regards to the Niggas for Life album. Tim Perkins from Collie, he wanted to know what was the process like creating the second album. Budget wise, did it feel like shit reaching to another level? And also creatively, how different was the approach from the first album, if any, outside of Cube not being there?
It was, the first one was a challenge. Can we be anything without Cube? So Cube was 1/3 of the voice that was gone. So it's like, can we do that? And on that album, even though Straight Outta Compton was a better album, but production-wise, the second album was better. We grew up. The production skills grew on that album. Much better music, more sound. It's just way better because we used less samples because we was the poster child of the lawsuit for samples from our album, from Straight Outta Compton. So that album used less samples, but it was a much better produced, bigger. Well, I wouldn't say if it was a bigger budget because we did the same thing. We just had the studio blocked out. So we just did the album. It might have took a month and a half, 2 months, maybe about 2 months, maybe. But it was just, we grew up. The sound grew up. Everything. It's just a much better produced, mixed, everything album. It was more harder.
Let's get this, Yellow. Was this around the time Above the Law? Would Above the Law come in around this time helping y'all out with the sound, or would they come later on in terms of that? Or they always there during the process?
Dre had did their album. He had did their album. But they wasn't in the studio with us unless on the commercial when they came and did some vocals on the intro.
Yes, sir.
On the intro. Producer-wise, no, they wasn't in the studio. But they had did their album. Dre had did their album.
Got you.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention, Ren stepped up big time on the mic, too. I mean, he was never no slouch, but he was a straight assassin on that joint.
To me, Ren was the strongest voice in the group. He had the strongest voice. He had the sound. Cube had the style. But then once Cube left, Dre had to step up and fill them shoes. He definitely had to step up. But, Ren, he came hard. I mean, the tracks was just harder. The tracks was much harder.
Yeah.
But the Straight Outta Compton is more popular than that album. Because it just, you can't beat the original. You just cannot beat the original. Even though the second one make that one sound like nothing. But you just can't beat that original.
Yeah, sonically, y'all was on point with it, and y'all, between the skits, and being that you was part of that album, did you guys get a ton load of flack for that? Because I can't imagine, like, you know, with the songs and the direction you guys went for that album.
I don't.
This was the 90s.
Somebody actually, either the whole album or a song, I think it was the whole album, how many times you said the N-word? Somebody counted them. I forgot how many it was, but somebody actually, I think it was a song, maybe, or something. It was just like, wow. Somebody really did that. Counted every word. That song, that album was really raw. I mean, it was just, but it was polished.
I mean, Appetite for Destruction, Real Niggas, I mean, Automobile,
She swallowed
Always in the Sunset.
Yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
Even the skip for One Less Bitch was letting it there.
Yeah.
Man, he's like, man, what the fuck wrong with you, man? Shoot this bitch in my shit. You should have got the on the first.
I like to don't drink this wine. Oh, my God. It's just so much. Wow. Always into something. It's just, man, that was a classic album there, too.
Yes, it was.
That was a classic album. It didn't sell like, it went platinum, but it didn't do triple and stuff like the Straight Outta Compton. I don't know why. It just, Because I guess we broke up all at the same time, so somehow I got lost in the wash. But it was still, still a platinum album, but it should have been double, at least double.
You think it was the split with Q played a role?
Wait a minute, what was that again?
You think the split with Ice Cube played a role in the album? You feel like it not going triple or quadruple?
Something. I don't know. That's a hard question. I could imagine him being on that album too. It would just been unheard of. Then it might have blew Straight Outta Compton out the water. If Q would have been on that album. It might have just made Straight Outta Compton like it was a kid's toy. But, I mean, it still held its ground. It did hold its ground.